Alright, good evening. I'm just fine, and today we're going over Dhalsim-Bot. So we're just going to go over each of his inputs as usual. Hold on, that's a little loud. That's better. So, first input, lots of teleporting, a little bit of V-skill, and that's all really this one does. So as you can see, if it loops into itself, it won't do the V-skill, it won't do the jump, it'll just loop into teleport. Interesting. So that one was our main way of getting points. You get points on Dhalsim-Bot by air-to-airing his jump back on the first input. If he's in V-skill, you don't get points. Because obviously you can easily air-to-air a neutral jump V-skill. The other thing this one does is it gives him stuff to do while he's in the air. This is important because, as some of you may know from fighting Dhalsim, his air pressure is one of his stronger suits for zoning people and making it difficult for you to get in on him. You'll probably also recognize that heavy kick that he does. Which is hidden in his V trigger. Remember that all punch kick combinations, unless they have a different input otherwise said, will default to the kick. So for this Dhalsim, we'll probably let the meter on his V trigger stay as is for now, depending on what makes it harder. And that's why you don't get points for air-to-airing Dhalsim when he's doing his neutral jump V-skill. It's just too easy, he hangs in the air for too long. It's not really a challenge. And we build the bots to do something challenging for people who are at the skill level. He also has his Yoga Flame, which allows more pressure when he's in certain block strings. But other than that, again, this input isn't too complex. It's mostly there for the air pressure, the V-trigger, and to zone you out a little bit. Now, one of the things that makes Dhalsim pretty cool is his slide. It gives him, because Dhalsim's light punch is one of his good pressure buttons. His crouching light punch, I mean. So that hits mid, but obviously his slide will always hit low. So the reason this one is in there is both to give him a way to get close to you and a way to look at your feet, keep you on your toes a little bit. But mostly this one is about the throw pressure, because if you've fought a Dhalsim before, especially at lower levels, that's where Dhalsim gets a lot of his damage from, when he is pressuring you. And since you really only get points for air-to-airing Dhalsim, you're going to be playing a little more defensive than you would against most bots. You want to close in on him, so you have to get close to him without taking damage. Not much of Dhalsim's stuff, as you can see, pushes him away from you, but the stuff that does leave him close, other than a very few select of his buttons, is safe on block. So once you get there, you can stay there and endure the pressure, but you have to be ready for his throw, because Dhalsim can always throw you. So that's just one of the ways to hide in a little forward movement in Dhalsim without actually working too hard on getting a specific forward moving range. But again, mostly for the low mix-up and the throw. And if anybody has ever fought Dhalsim, particularly with a grappler, this is probably going to be the most familiar thing to you, because this will almost always be his opening gambit, unless he's a very strange Dhalsim, or a very inexperienced one. Now there is a teleport hidden in here, I think. Might not have been input well enough though. But this is mostly for the longer range zoning that Dhalsim is well known for. So another V skill, just to make it even more difficult for you to tell. But as you can see from what just happened, if you thought you could jump against Dhalsim, you are very sadly mistaken. There's obviously timings that you can jump in on him, but he has pretty good air-to-air and anti-air buttons. So while jumping can help you, it's not the end-all solution, and that's the main reason that's there. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's one other thing hidden in here. There we go. So this also has another V skill in it. But you'll also note that it hits one of his lighter buttons in there, so if you do try to air him from this, this is another way he can possibly win. So this bot is not necessarily hard in terms of handling him, although there's obviously stuff you can learn just by trying to mess around with how he does his moves, because there's all sorts of weird whiff punish timings for Dhalsim due to the way his hitboxes work. But first and foremost, this bot is about learning how to get in on Dhalsim at the lower levels, how to deal with his teleport, and more importantly, learn how to air him, because that's pretty hard for him, for a beginner to do. And he can harass you pretty hard from the air. So let's turn on a few of these. Oh, this one doesn't have the teleport in it. I turned both of the ones without the teleport. Without it. There you go. This is what I wanted to do. So I don't get any points for pressuring Dhalsim. It's not really in my best interest either, because you can knock Dhalsim out of his teleport due to the way we hide inputs. So you can get points, I think, for punishing him on before he does the teleport.
Yes.
Right, because
in fact, the bot's harder mode, once you got used to that, is to punish him before the teleport in number 1 only, rather than either before or after the teleport in number 1. You still get no credit for the teleport in number 2.
See, you have to be fairly close to Dhalsim when he jumps back in order to hit this. So that's why learning how to close in on Dhalsim is so important for this bot. And really the reason why he's around. So I'm going to go ahead and turn them all on now so you can get an idea of how the bot runs. So that didn't count because it was part of 2. So in a previous stream, we've talked about how one can have a bias as to how they hold their buttons on the D-pad. So for me, I down back pretty hard. Which causes me, against Dhalsim-bot in particular, to have a difficult time jumping forward. It's not as hard to do backward because technically I'm already holding back. And it's not as hard for me to neutral jump. But if I have to go directly to forward, which is required in order to land Mika's target combo on him, it's going the complete opposite direction. So for me, this is going to be good because I have to essentially train one of the things that I need to be successful at Bison with. Because I end up jumping back on Bison a lot. Mostly because I end up hitting up back instead of up. Or up forward. And therefore it gets read wrong and I lose a whole bunch of space. Because if you've ever seen Bison's back jump, you know it goes back pretty far. And that's not just to reward Bison players for jumping back at all. Because Bison is a pressure character. He does not want to jump back that much. See, since I punished that one move with a really long knockdown, he didn't do the teleport. So you don't want to really punish him, even though it's not technically against the rules or anything. But it's a lot harder to get points if you do. So I only got like 3 points through that entire time. And as you can see, my life didn't necessarily go down quickly, but he does a lot of chip damage, first of all. It really does add up. But secondly, he just doesn't do his teleport all that often. If you mess up and punish something that isn't what you're aiming to punish. Like that right there, that made me miss a whole point. Or at least an opportunity to get it. So, in a way, I almost need to hit confirm. Is this 1? Is this 2? Did he neutral jump or did he forward or backward jump? If he backward jump, then I want to respond. But if he neutral jumps, not really. So there's a point. So you gotta time this pretty well. That was a point. I would suggest, however, that you try to punish him on his teleport. Because if one loops into one, all he's going to do is teleport. He's not going to jump back, and therefore you're not going to get your chance to get a point anyway. But he can quite frankly do a lot of annoying damage if that happens, so might as well. And since I'm doing easy mode right now, he just came out of that teleport in the air. I'm probably going to count that. Just because I'm, quite frankly, having a hard time coming by points, as is. There's no shame in doing easy mode first. Part of the reason why we do this sort of training, instead of just, you know, normal inputs, training against reactions and stuff like that, those are all necessary for certain levels to get in the game, but you don't get as much satisfaction. The minigame is there to reward you and make you feel rewarded for your effort. And honestly, it's a lot more fun to have a specific goal other than grinding this one move endlessly until I get good at it and maybe I can do it in casuals or something. Do note that these inputs aren't necessarily the expert mode of this. We're still working on how to make it slightly harder. But for now, this is basically the bot. Point. Point. Oh no. I really gotta work on my throw tag though. So when he V triggers you, it's my recommendation for this bot anyway to probably look for an opportunity to throw him. It may not be the best idea for points, but it definitely helps you survive, especially if he ends up pushing you in the corner somehow. And that would hopefully also get you out of the corner. Oh man. Fell for it. There's no reason to jump against Dhalsim on opening. So for me, I've also been working on trying to use my headbutt more. So while, again, it might not be the best thing in terms of getting points, I'm probably going to add the reaction to, if he neutral jumps, try to headbutt at the right time. Because even if he jumps back and does teleport like that, headbutt gets me out of the way. To basically anything he could do to me. Unless he picked a nice, juicy, heavy button. But I also just generally need to learn when it's okay to use that, because I don't really have a lot of confidence in it, despite it being such an awesome button. So the more I see it in action, the more I end up using it, so I'm just gonna let my brain wire itself that way. Also, pro tip, which may not have been apparent to less experienced people, if you do punish him a lot and do all sorts of wacky business, well, his V meter is going to build up a lot more, isn't it? Which is not really good for your health. And it's just a risk you don't have to take. So why take it? Now, if you have difficulty dealing with his V-trigger, then I would even suggest just turning V-meter all the way on. So yeah, I'm getting whacked in the face a lot for trying to do my 2 medium punch. But I think that's mostly just a factor of me not pressing it early enough. But I'm never gonna learn the range if I don't get smacked in the face a lot. So might as well, right? The only thing on line here are snazzy points. That's the other issue I've been working on for a few months now. Because I crouch back so much, if I try to move forward and I try to like do a headbutt or something, I'll accidentally get that. It's an astronomical tragedy. You know you liked it. Just like you like that Deadly Peach. I'm clearly not the one who streams that is allowed to stream to children. I make too many body jokes. Or really bad puns, and I mean, who wants their kid to learn really bad puns? One. Oh my gosh. Smashed. Yeah, something seems off about our version of the bot. So we'll probably have to fix it. The throw pressure seems off. Because I remember that Rillian and Amara got thrown a lot more than I seem to naturally be getting thrown. Because the kick, I think it's a light kick, before the throw ends up pushing me way out of range. So there must be like a timing issue or something.
Show me number 3.
Show you number 3.
Another very good point to be made based on this, however, is also that different inputs, just the timing slightly different, can affect your bot. And so you'll never have exactly the same bot as someone else. You can almost certainly try to manipulate your inputs or timings, or just even change actions to suit you.
Ah,
better.
she must have gotten hit more. I see.
Getting thrown enough here. And of course, your behavior versus the bot will also affect what you get. If you hit them at certain timings or punish them for certain things, you will change the rhythm of the bot, and different things will come out simply because of all the input hiding and dynamic work that we put into designing these bots. So, as Just Fine here is discovering, you can have a very different experience just depending on how you approach things. No, probably nothing is wrong with the bot.
Okay. Oh, right. 3's the only one on. I'm like, that was very...
It might be a little hard to get points without number 1.
Yeah. Let's try that again. So he may not be the most intense of the bots, but I don't know, this is sort of relaxing. All of his moves are pretty slow on recovery overall, even though the frame advantage isn't too weird. 1. And there it goes. Oh, you know what I haven't seen here that I know he has? Right. I think he's supposed to have full meter on. Because he's supposed to be able to do a super.
I said they should have both meters full.
Oh, it says I should have both full?
It doesn't say anything.
I need to be a little more patient here. Getting slammed. So that was me autopiloting the moving forward a little bit. And if you're out of harmony to begin with, you ain't gonna get very far. So let's see what he feels like with the heat turned on at full. Shall we? So one thing you need to learn in order to beat Dhalsim Bot is you need to learn to let go. So throughout this, I've been pretty insistent on being as close to him as possible. This is one way to get points, because if you can survive him, you'll always be close enough to him to have the maximum opportunity. But like with all the bots, you need to learn what you should punish, when you shouldn't punish, and when it doesn't matter if you punish or not. Because you could move forward as hard as possible against Dhalsim. And you'll probably take a lot of damage in the process, because Dhalsim, at his core, is still a zoner. He can do other things now. That's why he's a lot more interesting than past Dhalsims. But closing, to go on with our previous metaphor, is paper. And zoning is rock. Wait, does that make sense? That didn't make sense. No, that made sense. Because paper still has a hard time getting in on rock. It can still fail. And normally, closing in fails against zoners when you're impatient, when you're not respecting your opponent enough to know when you can go. Just like pressure can fail against close-in by dropping a string or not respecting a close-in player's throw range enough, all that sort of stuff. Totally possible. But close-in has to be by the zoner in order to get their stuff done. Because once they're in their comfort zone. They're exactly where they want to be, the center of the action. But since we are not really working on trying to get the most damage or the most pressure or anything like that by closing in on Dhalsim, we're just waiting for him to jump. If we don't respect him a little, we're going to eat lots of damage. So overall, the bot doesn't change too much with recovering meter. He just gets a little more pressure in. It makes you think a little more. 1. So I could keep enduring this. And I could basically train as much patience as possible to get all my points and beat this bot. Or I could figure out how I need to pressure him to still get points, but not have to sit there all day. So that's what I'm gonna try now. One. Two. One. Two. 2, 3. Or no, I think that's 4. One. Alright, let's do this. This will be the one. 1. So, for those of you joining us, I'm trying to get 10 points off this bot. Basically, I must anti-air Dhalsim's jump back. You have to be pretty on point to get the air to air. Because he doesn't lollygag even with that floaty jump to get to his teleport. One. And there goes all that great life. As you can see, he can kill you pretty quickly. I'm gonna take a stretch break here for a sec. Oh man. Alrighty. So, not too much longer, since I've basically covered everything you need to know about playing against Dhalsim-Bot. Lots of patience. And you really gotta just pay attention to what you can... what makes you comfortable in terms of punishing him. Even if it doesn't have a large effect on the outcome itself. Because in the end, we want you to learn what spaces you should be at against Dhalsim. This isn't just about closing in on Dhalsim. This isn't just about learning how to air Dhalsim. This is about you fighting Dhalsim. And you becoming more comfortable fighting the character. So, mini games are fun and all, but make sure you're having fun. Because if you're not having fun, that sort of defeats the purpose. I mean, you could grind at a whole bunch of things in this game. But that's not why you play a minigame. You play a minigame because you want to have a little fun. While obviously getting some work done. So for those of you just joining us, the game is simple. First to 10 wins. If I die, I obviously lose all my points. Dhalsim will do a back jump on action 1. So all of the other stuff he can do, all of that is just patience. And learning when you can move forward on him and close in Because in order to punish the back jump with an air-to-air, you need to be fairly close. Obviously in a neutral jump it's pretty easy. You can even be pretty far away to get the neutral jump with the air-to-air. See? But if Dhalsim behaves for us here a little bit, you'll see just how far away you need to be. But this bot is almost done and will be up this weekend on Sunday as usual on 2-mk.org/bots. Along with all our other bots, of course. But that'll have the expert rules and the intermediate rules and all that sort of stuff, so you can fight a slightly harder version of the bot and maybe get in a little more crisper inputs if you're a little more inclined towards execution. I really am not. I am more of a mindset, mind games kind of person. So my inputs aren't that great. There! That's the super! I knew we hid it in there somewhere. But that is the fun of having a whole bunch of stuff hidden in your bot. It'll do all sorts of... Like, I think we found, like, on Karin bot, after, like, 3 weeks of having made her, she had, like, some really weird punish. Do you remember what that was, Kanzuki?
No.
Do you remember anything?
I have no idea what you're talking
You
about.
remember nothing, of course. I should have known.
I remember a great deal. Just not seemingly the same things you do.
Well, alls I know is she did like this ridiculous... Aw, man. Need to stop talking, apparently. Man, that's just the coolest thing about Dhalsim, though. He literally did nothing, just waited for his little rain of fire to drop down on me, and I had to block it. Couldn't do anything about him hanging in the air. That's why fighting Dhalsim's fun, though. But there we go, I lost a opportunity to get some points because I punished the bot before he could get his move out. And since the teleport is at the very like, it's not hidden in one's input, so it can skip over it pretty easily if you jostle the bot around a little bit. But that's how the bots tend to get a whole bunch of weird stuff. Hiding inputs lets you do a lot of interesting things with the playback recording. There we go. See what I mean? You have to be pretty close to him in order to do the air-to-air. One. Okay, I probably shouldn't dash after that. But in the end, I am still a bit too impatient, which is exactly why I need to spend some time with this bot. I do things like that, get ahead of myself, and lose opportunities to do what I said I was going to do. Anyway, I think this is the last round. So once again, if you are interested in DawsonBot or any of our other bots, you can go to 2-mk.org/bots. And of course, we're going to announce on our Twitter feed 2_MK_FGC when we release the bot. So, this is Just Fine News. Enjoy all your yoga stretching, but this Mika is going to roll up her mat and probably eat some dinner. So, have a good evening.